Guys, Shane Robeson here from Integrity Web Studios. Today we're going to continue our Learning WordPress for Business tutorial. And this time we're going to go a little bit further discussing themes. In our last tutorial we actually talked about what a theme is, how it affects your WordPress website, and where to basically shop and find a free theme. In this tutorial, I want to talk about premium themes. Premium themes are, yeah, needless to say, it's a theme, but it comes with a lot more tools that help your development and design of this the web page, right? Each one of these themes is built ideally around a specific function, everything from construction companies to um, you know, internet companies, hosting companies, businesses, general offices, pretty much anything that you can think of. There's cleaning company, templates out there. Anything that you can think of is probably had a theme developed for it. And they typically throw in a lot of extra tools and shortcuts, and in almost every case, designing the website is a lot easier with the tools, right? So let's jump in. The first thing that I want to show you is where I go to buy themes, right? It's called Theme Forest, and let me just bring it back to the main page here. So go to themeforest.net. Themeforest.net. All right, this is by no means the only place that you can buy themes. This just happens to be one of my favorites for a few different reasons. One of which, they always have good themes, but the main factor is it's a bit of a protection for guys like us who go in and buy a theme, and if we're not happy, we can get refunds, and they do take care of you in that case, or they at least advocate for the developers to make sure that they have satisfied customers. They do have to, for you to publish your theme to be sold on here, you have to go through and verify that it's functioning without issues and bugs, and follow some protocols. So this website actually does quite a few things. These are several different sites that are kind of linked together. Everything you need from video, audio, graphic, photography, 3D, code plugins. This is really a technical guru's, Walmart. There's a little something for everybody. In our case, we're just going to hover over WordPress, and you can see they try to break it down into categories. I'm just going to jump into corporate. All right. And then there's some filters on the side. It's not like anything that you probably haven't shopped for, similar to the shoes or something. The difference here, guys, is we're shopping for basically a shell. The front cover, your theme is what gives it the style and look and feel, and that's what we're shopping for your particular need, right? So you can hover over these. Sometimes they have a little thumbnail. Sometimes it will have a video that will play just by hovering on it. I find that many times they kind of fail at this hover thumbnail. They'll give you a bunch of info that, all you want to really see is like how it looks. Like this one here, material design WordPress. Is that how it looks? So what is great with all of these, and one of the main features, you have a live preview. So let's just click on one. All right, and we can see the price. It's $49. They call it a license, so you have one license to use this. Basically, it's yours forever as long as it's on one website. All right. Now, the way that they get you for extended support, usually they support these for 6 months, and then they'll prompt you to buy support for another 6 months. Here, you can do an add-on, and then if everything expires, you can come in and just renew your support. The reason you may want support is as WordPress scales and continues to evolve, they constantly need to update these and maintain them, which is great. Trust me, it's worth your $50 a year to have somebody else worrying about the latest and greatest changes that came from the last WordPress upgrade. WordPress upgrades its framework literally several times a month. Most of the time, it's just minor fixes, bugs, security patches, and other times it's major overhauls to design and function. And in any case, every theme developer needs to be aware of and make their site compatible with it. Right. So back to the story at hand here, guys. We're gonna do a live preview. We're just gonna click on it, and we can see how this website is going to look and function. Now, the one thing that I tell clients, even when they're shopping for these, I'll typically send a client a handful of these to kind of look through that match what they need. And if they like some of the functions and some of the things that it does, then of course they can opt for it or go for it. But what I tell people to watch out for is they're going to throw everything that these themes do at you. So they're trying to show every bell and whistle that this can possibly do. And then many times, most realistic business websites are not going to need all of these little functions. But it is cool to kind of browse through and see all of what they can do. It's not uncommon for a lot of these themes to have several different demos within them. All right, so shortcodes, let's see what that clicks on. All right, so you get the idea. We can actually test drive what this puppy is going to look like before we ever commit to buying it. All right, here's when they say home to, it's just a different layout for a home page, right? And pretty neat. Now you can see in both cases the home and the home to didn't really match that little thumbnail that we saw when we hovered over it here, right? So it takes a little bit to kind of go through and shop these out. And I typically tell people, be sure you narrow down what you want it to do before you just kind of dive in here playing with these. It's a lot like shopping for perfume. You know, after you smell 2 or 3, they all smell the same. Well, the same thing with our themes here. After you do a handful of them, they're going to all start to look and feel the same. In that case, I recommend, taking a break, come back and narrowing it down to a few and just continue to narrow it down. Now, one thing you'll notice when we were on this page, they typically list the newer themes first. This has had 10 sales, 8 sales, 10 sales. So as you get into more listings and kind of get deeper in this, you're going to find that there's some that have hundreds of thousands of sales. So let's just kind of do this. And so I just cleared the corporate tag off of here. All right. And look where it, let's see, locksmith. Let's just see what this has to. All right. And we're going to do a live preview. Okay, so you can see that this theme is clearly for locksmith services. Now, one thing to keep in mind, guys, is it's made for locksmith services, but we design and develop these to whatever we want. So if I like the look and feel of this, I can purchase this and design it out for a real estate company, for a restaurant. It's really at the end of the day, you're seeing all these demonstration pictures, that come with it, and some of the verbiage, locksmith services. All of that is very easily changes. All the text is changeable. All the images are changeable. And in many cases, they will give you the photos, but you're not allowed to use them without purchasing a license. They usually work with like photography companies and photo stock companies to just demo these things, and then if you wanted to use these photos, you could. But that's where it really gets to design work. We don't want to use these because odds are somebody else is going to use them, and that's where the originality comes in, and why we can make our theme that maybe 1,000 people have bought this, but it's going to look and feel totally different. Right. So jumping back in here, what I wanted to discuss is how do we know a good theme from a bad theme? So we like this one and we like this one. Well, what we want to do, we want to pay attention to our developer, right? So our developer has 9 comments and 0 sales. This one here is a little new, so we can't get a lot of information off of it. You can see to even get a rating, whether it's 3 stars or 5 stars, you need a minimum amount, and they haven't even sold one yet. So this is hot off the press. This was literally made yesterday, or I say uploaded to the Theme Forest repository yesterday. You can see compatibility, so you're going to know exactly what it's going to work with and what it's not. We do want to keep an eye out for tools. There's basically tools that will make our life a lot easier, and Visual Composer is one of them. It is a big deal. And again, this is another tutorial that we'll get into later on down the line. But Visual Composer makes our designing a lot easier. We want to make sure that it's compatible with the latest version of WordPress. And as it is now, WordPress just released 4.8. So this is probably fine because I've I've upgraded to 4.8 on a few of the sites that I manage, and they're much older themes and there's no issues. So just because it doesn't necessarily cover to 4.8 doesn't mean it won't work with it. WordPress works very hard to make sure that everything is scalable without issue. But that does happen from time to time. Anyway, it gives you a little bit of information here. But the things that we want to focus on, guys, is how many sales, their star rating, and in the comments. And then I always tell people, dive in and read some of the comments. So typically this is the first place when somebody has a bug or an issue with their theme. They're going to come here and say, hey, I can't get this to work, or this isn't doing what I need it to do. And you want to pay attention, how soon are the developers responding? Are they responding immediately, or does it take a week? Anything more than 24 hours, not so good. Most developers 24 to 48 hours. But especially when they're very big. It's not uncommon to see them with 30,000 sales on some of the more popular themes. But are they responsive to the people's needs and issues? Are they hitting them back? Are people complaining just outright rude? Typically, when somebody's outright rude in a comment, it's because they've had issues and it's not being resolved. It's not just internet trolls trying to do this, because we are a community. Most of the people that are in here shopping are designers, developers working on a project, and if the main developer of the theme isn't being helpful, they're stuck, and you've just outed $59 for something that may not work for your specific needs. Now, you can request a refund on these things, but don't do it unless you absolutely have to. Most of the time, developers will work with you. But the point here, guys, is pay attention. If you see a bunch of negative reviews and they have a low star, no matter how much you love the theme, move on. It's probably not going to be worth your time, right? So that's really what I want to get into, guys. This is a big deal, right? This is 50% of your work, buying and choosing the right theme, something that's going to look and feel as close to home as it can be. Now, remember, we're going to change the design, the colors. We can change all of that, but this is how we're basically going to shortcut a lot of our design work. This is where the magic happens. This is what saves developers a lot of time. And the stuff that you probably didn't know, they're going to repositories like this, paying $60 for something that you're paying several $1,000s for, and then they're basically building it out to spec to meet your needs. Now, it's just like the grass cutter, right? I own a lawnmower and a weed eater, but I don't have the time, the energy, nor the want to go in and cut my grass and weed eat it every week. So I pay a gentleman come out and he does it for me every week, and it's well worth it. Well, that's a good earnest trade, and that's where our industry comes from, is that people not like yourself who's trying to learn how to do this, but people who's like, what, I do have the money and I don't want to mess with this, so I'm going to opt to have it built for me. But at the end of the day, we're all shopping in the same place for the same tools. So that's it, guys. My particular preference is Theme Forest. There are dozens out there. Just make sure that if you buy it from another theme depository, where they're selling themes, that you don't have any extra fees, that you don't have to subscribe. I know there's a couple that are very specific in that it's a club that you pay $150 and you're in it for a year and you can use any theme you want. well, their themes only work with their plugins and their stuff. And it's kind of like boxing yourself in to a degree. Those themes are great, and the ongoing stuff isn't too bad. But again, just keep in mind, you know, you can spend $60 and the occasional, plug-in, and maybe cheaper than a $150 a year membership to other things. So, all right, guys. Got any questions about this? I know it's a lot to take in. Please comment in the comments below, and I will dive in and answer that for you. In the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. God bless.